Hey guys, how's it going? Anthony Muthurajah back with a new video lesson for y'all. And yes, time to introduce this guy. Before I get to the actual lesson, do the usual, subscribe if you haven't, or if it's your first time, or if you just never thought of subscribing at all for some strange reason, but have been watching all my videos. All right. Yeah, so go ahead and do that. The reason I've brought this guy out, of course, is to showcase the instrument, but also talk about something that really bothers me, particularly about bass players. Okay, so there's always a debate: is tone in the hands? I think I did a video on that before. To answer that question, yes, a lot of it is in your hands. But let's look at the instrument for once. Okay, what role does the instrument have in being able to produce a good sound and tone? Okay, so first things first, I want to talk about comfort levels on an instrument. Okay, this will help you gauge whether you should get that particular bass versus this versus that. All right. Right off the bat, it's very hard to judge an instrument just straight out of the box or even on a shelf in a music store. So this bass came to me very well set up, but the action was quite high. So I had to drop it quite a bit. And I dropped it a little lower than I usually would. And that is also because I wanted to share this with you is my thumb has been giving me quite a bit of trouble. Got it checked and turns out I have a cyst potentially right there, a ganglion cyst, which is indicative of a couple of issues. Hopefully it's nothing too serious. I'm getting it checked and going for an ultrasound and all that. So while I'm at this, look after yourselves, all right? Your body is your main instrument. So if your body is not in shape, it can be bad. All right, so I dropped the action lower than usual. So now it's comfortable enough, but there are some buzzy spots, but I cannot do much about it because I cannot raise it any higher, even though usually I can't handle it. Okay, so the comfort in terms of playability is very important, okay? Which means the instrument needs to be well set up. Now, this guy here for a little over $420 doesn't sound too shabby. Ah, man, my hands. Anyway, not a good day. So I set it up based on my current needs. Okay. The second thing with solid body instruments, okay, keep that word, that's a key word, is that the tone, whether you like it or not, or whether you like to admit it or not, is all these guys here. Okay, the pickups are the tone. They produce the tone. That's the pickup. Okay, people would say, oh, but the maple versus spruce versus like mahogany, the resonance. Oh yeah, you got a custom bass. Like, why would you talk about pickups being the tone as opposed to the wood? On my custom 5, I have piezo pickups on them. When you have piezo pickups, resonance is how a piezo picks up sound. So in that particular context, yes, the wood combination matters. Okay. But with solid body instruments like this, where you don't have acoustic pickups or piezo on the bridge, the tone is all in the pickups. Small things like the distance between the pickups, the distance from the bridge pickup to the actual bridge, and neck pickup to the neck, they have quite a bit of influence. On my custom bass, my bridge pickup and neck pickup are slightly closer together than a jazz configuration. And I did that with particular reasons in mind. But yes, pickups matter, all right? The pickup's height, how low, how high, and then your action in relation to that, the string height. All of these things really, really make a difference in terms of the tone production of the instrument, okay? Again, this is regardless of whether it's $400, $200, or 2,000 or 3 or 10, 15K. Like some of these prices I see, they just scare me, right? Anyway, also, my other Squire, the one a lot of you know me for, I only paid, well, in today's inflated rate, less than $100. I mean, less than $200. So probably $180 is what I paid for it. And it's pure stock. So is this. Okay. So comfort in terms of playability, the setup of the instrument, pickups. The third thing is how you optimize the overall setup of like string height and the comfortability of the neck and pickups. For me, I like a bit of resistance. I like my instrument to fight me a little bit. Why? Because it holds me accountable in terms of the notes that I end up playing or choose to play. A lot of times, I've tried a bunch of basses that I don't want to name, big brand names. They're great instruments, don't get me wrong, but they are like, it feels like playing with, I don't know, a rocket launcher. It's so easy to play and easy to just shoot and fly with that I feel like, man, I don't know how I would work with this if I was to do this every day on that particular instrument, right? So this is subjective, and it also comes down to your physicality, whether you have injuries or not, and your overall experience playing an instrument or a range of instruments, right? So these three factors for me ultimately determine whether or not an instrument is good, okay? Nowhere on that list is the price point. But speaking of price point, the lesser I have to spend, the better. Okay, this was the cheapest 4-string fretless I could find that I felt like would be good, because I've played this particular model years ago in Indonesia when I was there on a holiday in Bali. That's where I actually picked up my Squire Telecaster. But I tried it, so I knew this particular model, and I'm like, yeah, this will work. So I ordered it, took it right out of the box, set it up, and man, this thing really sings. Right? I just wish I was strong enough to play a lot of the things I wanted to play on this. Right? So I don't know if it's coming through, but my thumb is giving me a hard time. So I'm having issues staying in tune and doing a bunch of things, but that has nothing to do with the instrument. That has to do with my hands. Okay? Which actually brings me to my ultimate point. No matter what the price point is on the instrument, how optimum it is set up, or all of that, if your hands are not up to task, there's no sound that's going to come out that's going to be pleasing to listen to. Okay? Which is why, like my late mentor always told me, tone and sound is an imaginative process first. You need to imagine it in your head before you even try to play. So a lot of times I'll see guys, they'll be like, oh man, yeah, that Fodera really didn't sound like what I thought it would. That's possibly because of how your hands are, how they adapt to the situation and the tonal palette of that instrument, right? For someone like me, playing a Fodera feels like driving a race car. This feels like a bare minimum car that gets me from A to Z. But I would say slightly modded in terms of the comfort of driving it, right? So this is very subjective overall. I just wanted to give you a few things to think about if you're planning to buy or upgrade your instrument and your gear, generally speaking, all right? Just be sure that you're ready for it. And also just be mindful that you don't have to pay a lot of money for good gear, okay? I hope this helps. And if you kind of dig this video in terms of the content, let me know and I will be more than happy to talk more about gear along these lines. All right, so I'll see you guys in the shutdown, the next one. Peace.